We are discussing about chapter number 6, manufacturing industries. Manufacturing industries or Vinirman Udyog. The story starts with a family. Here we have Harish, he is the kid, and they are doing the Diwali shopping. So when he sees all the products, his father explained that the shoes, clothes, sugar that they are buying, they are made either in large industries using big machines, or utensils manufactured in small industries, or diyas made by hand artisans in household industry. So what is the manufacturing? What is the industry? Whenever there is a raw material. Now raw material is not useful to us. If I provide you bauxite, you'll not be able to appreciate it that much. But when some processing is done on this raw material and it is made as valuable product, this is called manufacturing. Let me tell you again, the production of goods in large quantities after processing from raw materials to more valuable products, this is called manufacturing. Like paper, we make it from where? Wood. Sugar from sugar cane. Iron and steel from iron ore, and aluminium from bauxite. So all these things, clothes also. Various people are employed in these secondary activities. Secondary. Now what is the primary activity which is related to, in our country it is related to the agriculture. But along with this, various secondary activities, manufacturing is the main, that is the primary material into finished goods. People are employed in the secondary activities. Like the steel factories, people are employed in steel factories, car, breweries, textile industries, bakeries. They fall into this secondary category, right? So one more important thing is that the economic strength of any country is measured by what? That the country is economically strong, it is economically good, it is economically developing. That means these all things comes when we see the development of manufacturing industries. If the manufacturing industries are good, the health of manufacturing industries are good, then we say that this country has a good economic strength. So now it comes, what is the importance of manufacturing? Why we are discussing about manufacturing? So manufacturing helps in modernizing the agriculture. The agriculture, what we are doing is a farm. You can say it is the backbone of our economy, agriculture, and manufacturing changes it. It is changing it because most of the dependency on the agriculture which our people have, now we have manufacturing, and because agriculture is being modernized, so these all modernization is helping the other people also to have a different job, or secondary or tertiary sector they get a job. Then it provides employment opportunities to different people. There are different disparities, different areas, regimes where the people can find job, and thereby they are getting employment. So they are not unemployed. Manufacturing is eradicating unemployment and poverty from our country. This is how, because the people are getting job. So the unemployment and poverty from our country is, if you have good industry, manufacturing industries, then this can be avoided or eradicated. Second thing comes, or third thing comes, this is the third one, increase in the country's income by exporting manufactured goods. If you are making good stuff, quality stuff, and if you are sending it to some country, say any country, then this country, it may be a developed country, it will give you in dollars, in say in pound. So you get a very good bargain. You are bringing by manufacturing, you are bringing the foreign exchange into the country. This is how manufacturing becomes so important. It improves the country's infrastructure. This also is done by manufacturing. And the countries that are transforming the raw materials into the finished goods, it is always seen that they are prosperous. They are prosperous. So it improves the level of the country, money of the country, foreign exchange, and the country infrastructure. One thing is very important, that when we talk about agriculture, because this is our all, what we do, 60% of Indian people are involved directly or indirectly into agriculture. So if I talk about agriculture and if I talk about industry or manufacturing industry, they are not exclusive, because what are all the modernization of agriculture is going on, the product is coming from industry. So the industry is giving good products to agriculture, and this industry is getting the raw material for its production, like crops, different things from the agriculture. For example, industry is giving agriculture the fertilizers, irrigation pump, insecticide, pesticide, plastic and PVC pipes, the machines, tools, etc. Industry is providing the agriculture, and in return, the agro-based industry, they are getting the raw material from agriculture. So they are not exclusive. They are purak. They are dependent on each other, and they help, both of them help each other. So growth rate of the share of manufacturing sector in India GDP. GDP is, this is our gross domestic product. So GDP, that is, GDP decides what is the country's growth. Okay. So whatever GDP is doing, gross domestic product, this has many things which are affecting it, GDP. So manufacturing is about 17%, but this number can change. You have to Google it, because by the time I am telling you, it might have changed. So this is the GDP. You should have just idea. This is 17%. And the growth rate of manufacturing sector is around 11% per annum. And this also keeps on changing, but it remains somewhere like this number. What is the contribution of industry to national economy? We just saw that over the last 2 decades, 17% it gives, that is manufacturing sector is giving to the GDP growth. And out of this, 27% for the industry, which includes 10% coming from mining, quarrying, electricity and gas. And this is quite lower than other prominent East Asian economies, which is around their East Asian economies, it's around 25 to 35%. But we have seen that it is around, growth is 7%, but we need at least 12%. This has to be 12% for us to have a good growth. Now, industrial location. Whenever we are discussing about an industry, we need to have certain factors in our mind, that where the factory is going to be, what factory is going to be, how it is being, it has to be executed or planned, or it has to be established. So there are certain factors. We call them as industrial location. Whenever we talk about a location, then the location of an industry, it depends on certain factors, that where we have to put this industry. The first one is the availability of raw material. Because if the raw material is at east and you are putting the location of the industry in the west, there is no point. The availability of raw material should be very near to where we are, or the transportation should be good. Even if it is farther, then there has to be direct transport of getting the raw material from there. Then availability of cheap labor. If you see the Western countries, the labor laws are quite strict. So in Canada, you have to pay $14 at least for 1 hour to anyone who is working, devoid of what he is working. In US also, $8 to $10 you have to pay. Now this labor is quite cheap in India, but if the skilled labor or non-skilled labor are not near this industry, then who is going to work for the industry? So we need the availability of cheap labor. We want labor, and it has to be cheap also. If you are paying this much amount, maybe you'll not be benefited from the industries. Then availability of power and other infrastructure. Any industry which you talk about require power, require energy, require urja. For that, you need to have a proper infrastructure. You will not be able to work, or the company is not, or the industry is not going to produce if the power or current went on coming, going, sometime it comes, sometime it doesn't. Then the proximity to markets. Whatever raw materials or other supporting materials you want, you need to get it from the market. And whatever you are producing, you have to transport it to the market. So for that, you need to have proximity to markets and availability of adequate and swift means of transportation. Whatever you are producing, whatever you are getting, or the labor is coming, and there are so many things which are going on. So they need transport. And the land which we want here, which we are making, it should be easily available or cheaply available. There has to be a capital, that is, the capital has to be put. There has to be someone to invest in your industry, or you are investing in the industry. So all these factors, let me just go through it again. That we need raw material, we need power, land, transport, labor, capital, and market for the industry to call us, or the industrial location to be a good location. So coming to this one, let me again tell you that the ideal location of an industry will always be the cost of obtaining the raw materials at site should be as minimum as possible. The cost of distribution of production should be as good as possible. The decision to locate factory at a site, that is, what is the site, the land, the location is very important, and the cost of production at site is very important. These are the ideal location of an industry, and these are the factors which affect it. Coming to industry market linkage, what happens? The money is the key factor. It is being used, it is being invested, and in the industry. So the inputs are raw materials and common component parts, and the factors of production we need, which we already talked about here, is land. We need a land, labor, cheap labor, good labor, skilled labor, capital, and entrepreneur, and infrastructure. When all these things are there, the money is invested. Then the transport to the factory, because the raw material or the people have to be transported, or they will transport themselves to the factory. In the factory now, the raw material is converted into actual value added product. Like a mango would come, a fruity will be produced. A mango will come, a juice will be produced. That is the value addition we are doing from the raw material. Once this output product is there, then it is being transported. It has to be swift, fast, and efficient, reliable transport. It goes to the market, and from market it is sold, and then we get the money again. So this is how the chakra, or you can say a cycle of industry market linkage goes. In the pre-independence period, most of the industries were set up in Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai. The reason was that they were near to the ports, and most of them have now, we know all these are now the Mahanagars, or they are quite developed, because the industrial development was the main key factor there. Now, when we are talking about industries, it becomes important for us to classify it, because it depends on from where the raw material is coming, what is the role of the industry, what is the capital, and who has the ownership. So all in these basis we can classify the industries. So let me take you to this one. So classification of industries, if the basis is from where the raw material is coming. So the raw material may come from agro or agriculture, or it may come from mineral based. When we talk about agro based, that is, the raw material is coming from agriculture. It is the industries will be cotton, wool, jute, silk, rubber, sugar, tea, coffee. All these are coming from agriculture. They are the produce. They are coming from agriculture industries. And when we talk about mineral based, that is, they are coming from mineral. They are actually minerals. So iron, steel, cement, aluminium, petrochemical industries, they want the raw material as minerals. So these are based on the raw material. So these are source of raw material. And when we say role, that is, what kind of industry it is. Is it a basic industry, or it is a consumer industry? Now, basic industry means this industry is feeding to other industry. Let me tell you again that we have an industry here and we have an industry here. Now, this industry is producing and it is giving the product to the other industry. So, we call this as a basic industry. And when this scientists say this is second industry. Now, this industry is producing for us, for the consumer. So, this industry will be consumer industry. This will be basic industry. This will be consumer industry. So, what we get here, the basic industries are iron and steel, copper smelting, aluminium smelting. So, if we are doing smelting, the copper will be sent to where? The user will not take copper directly, like you and me. Will not take aluminium directly. We have to get some sheets. We have to get in some form so that we can use it. So now basic industry, they are producing for the other industry. And those industries which are actually producing for us, we eat sugar, we want cosmetics, we use paper, we use some machines. So these are the industries, consumer industries who are making it for us. Now coming to the capital, what amount is invested? What money is being invested? So we have two kind of vargikaran, or you can say classification here. First is the small scale industry and then we have large scale industry. Now this money would have changed, but as per the text, the small scale industry, if the investment is up to say 1 crore, then this industry will be called as small scale. If the investment, the money being invested is more than 1 crore, then we call it as a large scale industry. For example, small scale industry, matchmaking, the handicrafts, toy, plastics, containers and other goods. When we talk about large scales, then the cosmetic, drugs, electronic items, they are generally involve more than 1 crore of investment. Now, who owns it? You, me, the group of people or the government? Who owns the industry? So public sector industries are those industries which are owned by the government. That is, for example, BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electronic Limited, SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited, National Thermal Power Corporation. So all these are being owned by, governed by, organized by public sector, that is public, we are public, and who is the representative of public? It's government, central government and the state government. Then we have private sector. Private sector means a single person or a group of people like the industrialists, they are holding the key or the administration, or you can say they are wholesale of these companies like Tisco, Bajaj, BPL. There are so many examples. Then we have joint sector. When this public and private, they combine themselves, means they get together and they are having stakes on an industry, then we call it as joint sector. So like Indian Oil we have. Cooperative. Now here what happens, that I am a person, I am dealing with milk, you are also a person dealing with milk, you are producing raw material, I am selling it, all these people, they get together and they make a cooperative. So whatever profit I am getting, whatever loss I am getting or we are getting, it will be distributed equally. The loss also will be distributed equally. So this kind of ownership is called cooperative. It's called cooperative industry. For example, sugar industry in Maharashtra, the coir industry in Kerala, Amul is also the milk one, it is related to milk, is also a cooperative. So we talked about classification of industry on the basis of raw material. We have agro-based and mineral-based. Agro, we have cotton, wool, jute, silk, textile, rubber, sugar, tea, coffee, edible oil. In mineral, we talked about iron and steel, cement, aluminium, machine tools and petrochemicals. When it comes to what is the role, the basic or the key industry which is supplying the product to the other industry like the iron, steel, copper smelting, aluminium smelting. The consumer industry which is providing or giving it to us directly, that is sugar, toothpaste, paper, sewing machine and fans. What amount is being invested? More than 1 crore. It's a small scale, and it's a less than 1 crore is small scale and greater than 1 crore it's a large scale. On the basis of the ownership, we have public sector owned and operated by the government agency, BHEL, SAIL, and private sector like Tisco, Bajaj, Dabur. Joint sector, they are jointly run by both the state and the individual, that is the government and the private people like Oil India Limited. Then no, it's not first not Indian Oil, it's Oil India Limited. Cooperative sectors, they are producers and suppliers working on the same thing. They get together and the profit and losses they share equally. So this is the classification. So we will start with the agro-based industries. Now, as we just saw that the agro-based industry means the raw material is coming from the agriculture. It's coming from the agriculture. So let me just take you again back. So agriculture means we just talked about cotton, jute, silk, woolen textiles, sugar, edible oil. These are all based on agriculture industry. So coming from the agriculture basically. So first thing is the textile industry. In this, the textile industry becomes very important. Why? We know that most of the people in our country they are involved in agriculture. This is the first one. So the second number of employer of the country is textile industry. That is why it is so important. It's textile industry. It is the second largest employer after agriculture. And this contributes to around 4%. Textile industry, it contributes around 4% of the GDP, gross domestic product. Then only industry which is self-reliant means it is producing itself, it is consuming itself, that is, it is not dependent on any other industry. That is the important thing. So the first successful, we'll talk about this. Let me just take you to the cotton textiles now, because this is what is a textile industry. There are certain factors which we need to understand. The textile industry, as we said, it is around 14% significantly, because what I'm trying to suggest here is this book is 2003, then it was revised in 2011 like this. So we have, and 2008 data is also there. So you'll find different datas in this book. So I just want or request you to Google the latest one. So these numbers may change, and we have a very great amount of this 4% GDP is provided by the textile industry, and we get 24.6 foreign exchange. Very important. Whatever foreign exchange we are getting, around 25% comes from the textile industry, and it is the largest employer after the agriculture. And as I said, it is self-reliant. That means it has a complete chain by itself. That is, raw materials to the highest value added products it produces, and it hasn't have to depend on any other. So I'll just show you the flow here. See, the fiber production is done. So when the raw fiber is there, the raw fiber is used for the fiber production. Then the yarn, after spinning we have yarn, then we have weaving and knitting, then we make the fabric. This is what we get. And then dyeing, finishing of this weaving, knitting, or the fabric, you can say like this. Let me tell you. Fiber production, raw fiber, it is spinned. Yarn will be weaved and knitted. It is fabric, it is dyed and finished. Then we get the garments. This is the final thing. So now coming to the cotton textiles. Cotton, kapas. Cotton is kapas. So this is produced with, it may be hand spinning, or an individual may be working on it or spinning. He may be or she may be using the electricity, so it is called power looms. So these hand spinning are only called looms, while the looms which are using power, electricity for their working, they are called power looms. They are hand looms. As I said, these are hand looms. And mills also, big mills. And they are concentrated in Maharashtra and Gujarat, and this maximum production by power looms is done. So power looms are used heavily. We were thinking about, or you might be thinking about, it might be, the cotton textile may be produced more in the mills rather than the power looms, but we have 54.17% of share of production through power looms. So the first successful textile mill was established in Mumbai in 1854. First textile mill in 1854, where? In Mumbai. So as per the text, there are nearly 1,600 cotton human-made fiber textiles in our country, and about 80% of these are by private sector. And most of the textile mills, as I just said, that there is a belt, cotton belt, where cotton is grown, black mitti, black soil, where we have Maharashtra and Gujarat. And the most important thing is that raw cotton market, transport, all these port facilities, they have port also, bandargah, port facilities, labor, the climate is also moist. All these are very important factors for why these cotton textiles are mostly concentrated in Maharashtra and Gujarat. Maharashtra and Gujarat. And this industry is not only for fabric. The other people, there are so many people which are involved, and like the packagers, like the dyers, like the chemical supporting people, mill stores, engineering works, they also get job from this particular industry. Okay. Now coming to the one more aspect is hand spun. This hand spun khadi is very, it was made famous by Mahatma Gandhi. It was already there, but this hand spun khadi, it also provides a large scale employment to weavers, mainly the people who are working in their home, in their cottage industry, So India has the second largest installed capacity of spindles after China. So what is this spindle? Spindle is like this, and the dhaga, like the thread is like this. When the thread is being made, they are kept in the spindle. So this is what we are talking about. But before that, let me tell you one more thing, that India export yarn. This yarn means it is not, it is already been made into the threads, and these thread, combined thread, or you can say a collection of thread, is called as a yarn. So this yarn is what we are exporting it to Japan, and we are also exporting it to USA, UK, Russia, France, East European countries, Nepal, Singapore, Sri Lanka, and various other African countries. So India accounts for 1/4 of the total world trade in cotton yarn. So one thing is very important coming here. Cotton yarn, we are always talking about the yarn, that is the dhaga, that is the thread. So we have 1/4, we are 1/4, that is 25% of whole world, complete world, the world trade of yarn, cotton yarn, is by us, 25%. Let me just take you here, because there are certain things we just need to discuss. So what happens, that the yarn we are very good in, but we are not very good in the textile. In fact, India has the largest installed capacity of spindle after China. So why we are very good in yarn and why we are not very good in textiles? Because if you talk about a very small country which is just next to us, it is Bangladesh. And Bangladesh is quite ahead of us when it comes to textile. But we are good at yarn. Why? Because the problem is that the textile or the facilitation of textile in our country is not that good. That is, the yarn can be produced if we have very good infrastructure and people are involved in this, but we are not very good in textiles. Okay. So as I gave the example of Bangladesh, it is way ahead of us in terms of textiles. In fact, it is number 1, I guess. I'll give you one more example. The yarn or dhaga or the thread, it is sold 85 rupees, or it might have changed. I'm just giving you an example. Just say it is being sold at 85 per kg. But when it comes to a textile or a fabric or a pant or a shirt, then this is sold at 800 rupees per kg. You can see the difference, that where we are lagging. Because of the textile, we are not producing, we are only going for the yarn. Okay. So I have to just take you to this places where we have cotton textile, woolen textile, and silk textile. So where they are concentrated, let us see. Okay. So here we have the cotton textiles. You see, these are the cotton textiles. These round, or you can say these spheres or dark circles, these are the places where we have cotton textiles, as I said, Maharashtra and Gujarat have most of them. But we have other places also. Then we have woolen textile. So woolen will be always, on these places. Why? Because wool is normally taken out from sheep, etc. These are they always live or stay in a cold environment. So this is the place where the cold environment is there. So woolen textile mills are mostly concentrated here, but it is still here. Some places you will find other region also. Then the silk textile. Silk comes from the silkworm. It's a cocoon, and mulberry trees it grows. So silk comes from various places, and mostly these are the places. Kerala and South India, we have these places. Then we have here also in Bengal some places. And if you go up, we are very fond of the shawls and the daris of Jammu Kashmir. So Baramulla, Srinagar, Anantnag, they are also providing very good silk textile. So we'll stop here for now, and next time we are going to discuss the jute textiles. Till then, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.